To those of you tuned in via our various social media platforms, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Focus on Government and Development. The name speaks for itself. We're keeping you informed, up to date on the work of the government of Dominica. My name is Dion Duran-Smith. I am the Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. And my guest this evening is the Honorable Denise Charles. She's a parliamentary representative for the Soufrière Constituency and also the Minister for Tourism. On this evening's program, we'll be focusing on tourism matters. Let's welcome the Honorable Charles to the program. Good evening to you, Honorable. How are you? And welcome to the program.
Good evening, Dion. It's really good to be here. Let me say a pleasant good evening to my constituents in Galileo, Point Michel, Soufrière, and Scottshead, and to the listeners of Focus on the Government.
I know I mentioned just now that we'll be focusing heavily on your ministry, but I wondered if you would like to take the opportunity to just bring us up to date on what's going on in the Soufrière constituency, any latest developments there?
The Soufrière constituency is great. In fact, we just held Mother's Day activities and everyone had a fantastic time. All the mothers have already told me they want the same activities next year. In terms of projects, we are advancing very nicely with the housing development in Point Michel and Scottshead. Hopefully, the homes in Scottshead will be completed in September, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that those in Point Michel will be ready for Christmas.
Oh.
Yes. And we're also doing some other small projects in the constituency. I'm very happy that I was able to complete the multi-purpose court in Point Michel. And recently, with the help of the Ministry of Public Works and the Public Works Corporation, resurfaced the multi-purpose court in Soufrière. And I know the Denise Charles Seahawks is very excited about that because they have proper grounds to train on, and I expect them to bring the trophy home because of those developments. We also have some upcoming projects. We have a plan to address the alum stream, which goes into the sea. In Soufrière, it has been a problem outstanding for a number of years. And on the OECS fund, we are hoping that we can address this year. And we also have a livelihood project under that same OECS fund to rehabilitate the Soufrière sulfur springs. And so there's a lot to look forward to in the Soufrière constituency. And in terms of tourism, there's another project in Scottshead on the peninsula. It's something I'm really excited about because I think it's going to be the perfect place for romance tourism, where people can come with their loved ones, significant other, and sit on the peninsula, enjoy the ambience, enjoy the view, but enjoy the cuisine of Scottshead. So you will be there sitting, having fun, but ordering your food from the number of restaurants we have in Scottshead. So there are exciting developments in the cards, in the pipeline, and so it's a wonderful time for the people of the Soufrière constituency. I just continue to urge them to be patient. Everything cannot happen at once, but we're making progress.
All right. So, Honorable Charles, let's just get right into the discussion about the tourism sector because there really is so much to talk about. And I think as a people, as a population, if we're paying any attention, we can agree that you are overseeing a very busy period in the tourism sector. We are witnessing many gains in terms of our marketing, and there's increased visibility for the island. So let's start by talking about what you think as the minister is accounting for that high level of visibility we've been experiencing in the sector.
I know it's a great time for Dominica. We have been highlighted by Times Magazine, CNN, Forbes, Lonely Planet, Travel and Leisure. I mean, somebody told me the other day, who does that? Which other destination has accomplished that in 2023? But Dominica has in the first quarter of 2023. And I must say, Dion, that leadership is everything. And we are seeing the gains now. But the development of the tourism industry started several years ago under the Dominica Labour Party administration. Through the re-engineering of the Citizen by Investment program, there was a huge focus on hotel accommodation development. And for the first time in our life, in 2019, we had the first luxury resort. And then we know that Jungle Bay was destroyed by Hurricane Erica, and they rebuilt a beautiful facility, a beautiful 5-star resort in Soufriere constituency. So all of these things contribute to increase arrivals in Dominica because people have more offerings, and many visitors, even if they enjoy being in nature, when they go to bed, they want to sleep in luxury. So having the addition of luxury accommodation has done well for us. You have Secret Bay. You also have the infrastructure upgrades to our roads that it's easier to access places to go and move around the country. That is a major plus. I mean, you have heard people say we have the best roads in the Caribbean right now. And I will tell you that also COVID made many travelers more conscious of the environment and recognize the importance of nature. And so for us in the Ministry of Tourism, what we did, we focused on reimagining the industry. And we decided that it's one thing to say that we are the nature island of the Caribbean, but what is it all about? And yes, we have our ecotourism, which we boast, but what are we really saying? And so we started this pillar strategy that we would define our products. So we have aqua, we have adventure, we have health and wellness, we have agro-tourism, we have festivals, events and festivals, and recently we added kalinago, and we are working on the romance pillar. And we also launched a campaign in our nature, which we promoted Dominica to dine in our nature, explore, have adventure in our nature. And that, I think, did very well for us. Our clicks, our likes, the remarks of the videos were outstanding. It actually surpassed industry rates for that campaign. And normally they said you will get the results from a campaign about 6 months post the campaign. So we believe as well we're reaping some benefits from that initial campaign. And also our stakeholders, having Secret Bay, Jungle Bay, Rosalie Bay, Intercontinental now, promoting the destination does a lot for the country. Yeah. When they go out there and promote their resort, they also speak about the beauty of our country and why our country is so unique and why people should just dive in, because it's the best place to simply connect to nature and that we are environmentally conscious people. And the tourism workers, when people come here, how they make them feel, the experiences people have, our taxi operators, tour operators, all these contribute to the great visibility we are getting and the fact that many more people want to come to the nature island.
All right. Earlier on you mentioned that all of this really goes back and spans the entirety of the Dominica Labour Party administration and its policies on tourism. But now that I have the opportunity to speak with you directly as the tourism minister, I wonder if you could just give us an idea or describe for us your overall vision for the tourism sector's development. What are some of your main objectives, the main milestones that you want to accomplish in this role?
Well, I have said it over and over again that we are building a world-class sustainable tourism destination. And I have made this public that the minimum, I'm heading to 200,000 stayover visitors. And that would double, more than double, it'd be 130% increase in the visitor arrivals we have today. And we are doing so on the 3 strategic pillars. And also, I should add, to increase tourism contribution to GDP, to double it. Right now, we contribute 33% to GDP, and the goal is to double that. And I believe we can achieve that. So I mentioned we're doing this on the 3 strategic pillars. 1, product development, which involves the 7 pillars I mentioned to you, that we're going to focus on niche marketing. We are going to target the people that are interested in health and wellness and invite them to come to Dominica. On the adventure, we're going to promote the Whitey Kubuli Trail. On the aqua, we have scuba diving. We're the #1 dive destination in the Caribbean. And we recently have the Whitey Kubuli Sea Trail. We also now learned of our whale population. They are residents of Dominica. They are our citizens in the sea, as I like to say. And we are going to protect that resource. And so and then we're also going to focus a lot on standards. One of the key things is important for stakeholders to understand that we cannot do things vai in the island. We like to talk about other destinations and how well they're doing. Dominica is doing very well, but we have to focus a bit more on the standards we offer. So, for example, the type of amenities we have at our facilities, how we serve people. People expect a certain class of service, and so you will hear a lot about standards in this financial year, because we'll be focused a lot on training and development of our stakeholders, so they'll understand that serving with a smile, even if somebody might be a little disrespectful or rude or unkind, is part of the industry, and there are ways to deal with matters without letting it show on your face, your countenance, how you greet people. So a lot of that will be done on the product and development. Then we have access, which of our flagship project, the International Airport, which I cannot wait to open, but that will happen in 4 years' time. A lot of work and money has been spent in preparing for the construction of the International Airport. You know that we have done the clearing of the site. So that project is well on the way. And access is so critical to getting people to the destination that we have also embarked on to improve the Douglas Charles Airport experience. And we've done so by doing a couple of things. We have invested in equipment, which is MDE and MDE equipment, and another equipment for GPS, for guidance for the aircraft on landing. We are also embarking on the project to extend the runway, which is a critical project. And many people have said, but you're building an international airport. Why extend the runway now? The thing that we have learned, and that is from the St. Vincent experience, building an international airport does not mean that airlines will just automatically start landing in Dominica. New aircraft will start landing in Dominica. The key thing in the industry is building relationships. And because we started the International Airport project, one of the key things we decided to do in parallel is route development. So we have been attending routes conferences, and in discussing with airline partners, we realized there are little things we can do right now that will increase the safety of our airport and probably attract more airline partners. And also in discussion with American Airlines, which started non-stop service in last year. They moved from 2 flights to 3 and to 7 flights. But they had a very challenging hurricane season where we had numerous cancellations, diversion of flights to Antigua, and that cost a lot. And anyone and everyone in business is there to make a profit. So in discussions with them, they recommended some improvements that we could do at Douglas Charles to make it safer for them to land, which include extending the runway and grooving of the runway. So we have decided to embark on that project to sustain the current non-stop service we have from American Airlines, and also to see if we can attract other airlines to the destination. So there are a number of improvements, a lot of investments has been made at Douglas Charles so that we can have an improved customer experience and more service into Douglas Charles. So the extension project will actually complement the international airport, because once you have sustained relationships with airline partners, all that will happen is that we'll transition to the international airport and receive bigger aircrafts and aircrafts from other markets like London, Dubai, China, but aircrafts that will carry double. Because right now we receive a E190 that carries about 76 people into Douglas Charles, and people think that's a lot of people. We need to go to an Airbus and aircrafts that carry 200 people to the country. And so that is what the extension will do for us in the interim. ensure that the aircrafts can land more safely, and we hopefully can attract more air service to the destination. So when we move to the international airport, it will be an easy transition and many more visitors can come to the destination.
Earlier on, you said you're looking forward to the opening of the international airport in about 4 years. So
yes.
In economic terms, in simple money terms, is it that the economic benefits we expect to see over the next 4 years from extending the current Douglas Charles runway far exceed the cost of what you're investing now? So the economic benefits exceed the cost.
Definitely. I can tell you, when we started the non-stop service to from Miami on American Airlines, you have seen a drastic increase in the number of visitors from that source market. So based on the data I have, this market became our second best performing market, and it has surpassed pre-COVID numbers by 36%. So you want to ensure that you keep that flight. And you know that it's a fluid situation because, as I said, we had daily, and then we went down to 4, we may go down to 3, and then back in November, we are seeing on the schedule that we're up daily. So by the investments we are making, we'll sustain that relationship with American Airlines. So because as I said, the goal is to get back to daily flights. And by having those improvements, other airlines have already shown interest, and we're having conversations with them.
All right. We're speaking with the Honorable Denise Charles. She is the Minister for Tourism. She will be with us until 9 o'clock. Later on in the program, you will have the opportunity to call in to ask your questions. If you need some further clarification on the extension of the airport runway, you can do so later at 1-800-327-305 432-9744, 448-3281 or 448-3279. She'll take your calls. She'll take your questions. Honorable Denise Charles, we're back and still with the airport extension. I wonder if you could provide us...
If you allow me, there's one thing I wanted to say.
Sure. When
I mentioned our strategic pillars, is one of our key strategies is building resilient communities.
Okay.
You know that after Hurricane Maria, we declared we wanted to be the first climate resilient nation. But part of that strategy is to be financially resilient. And one of the things we have recognized in tourism is that most of our assets are in communities. That's where they lie, that's where they're present. And helping the residents understand and appreciate those assets and value it is going to be critical. So we have started a series of meetings with meeting tourism groups in the respective communities to discuss the assets, ensuring that we can brand the community. So if you go to Mero, there's a big beach in Mero, and we plan to improve that beach. But what other things you can do in Mero? Let us package the community. Let us give it a brand. And we're working also on an app called Explore Dominica that you'll be able to select a village and see all what the village offers in terms of restaurants, bars, services. And we think that will also help to strengthen communities. And so these meetings have been going very, very well. And it's critical for everyone to know that everybody can make $1 in tourism.
Yeah.
As I mentioned in some forums, in Jamaica, they have a crab race and they make a lot of money from it. So tourism has proven to be one of the fastest rebounding sectors post-COVID. And there's opportunity for many Dominicans to partake in the industry. I said we have to start thinking of multiple streams of income. So yes, you have a 8-to-4 job. What can I do? What service can I offer? What activity can I offer in tourism to make additional income? And that's where I want the populace to think about. Take advantage of the credit facility at 8 Bank at 3.5%. And what activity, what can you create that a tourist can come here and enjoy? Either cruise passengers or stayover visitors. So we have to start thinking in that direction. And so we've been doing a series of meetings with tourism groups in respective communities, saying that if we strengthen what you offer, then you'll make more money, and in that way we'll be building resilient communities.
All right. So, as I said when we returned, that I wanted to just continue along the lines of the airport extension, and I wondered if you could provide us with any specifics as to how much this project is going to cost. What are we looking at? And do you already have a timeline for implementation?
Well, I will tell you, my team is currently reviewing the bids.
Okay.
Once that is finalized, we can share that information. We want to start in a few weeks.
Oh.
It's a critical project. So the goal is to start this year, as I said, within a few weeks.
Okay, and you earlier on, I'm just picking up on some of the things you mentioned, the ongoing partnership with American Airlines. Although we've seen a reduction in flight days recently, I heard you mention that's expected to pick up again in November.
Yes, if you go online right now and you go on the American website, you'll see you can book to come to Dominica daily. So it's a fluid situation. It's not within our control. But as more people demand the destination, demand to come to Dominica, you'll see that flexibility. So we just have to, as Dominicans, share the positive experiences about our nature island, promote it on social media. It's free to do. Post, share, like. That's my philosophy. Post, share, like about Dominica. Share all your experiences, because people are interested in authentic experiences. So if you are out enjoying yourself, Dion, just post in your background, this is where I am, I'm having fun at this bar. Tell a story. Go on TikTok.
Yeah, I know.
Tell the Dominica. Share with Dominica and the rest of the world.
The reach of TikTok and Instagram. Is it something that you're pushing your people at Discover Dominica Authority to do more of, the use of social media?
Oh, definitely. When I came, that was one of the strategies we had to review. And in part of the reimaging, because social media is one of the fastest way to connect to people, and we were not utilizing it sufficiently. So we have a whole strategy around social media. We have a calendar plan, and we are even reviewing that current strategy to strengthen it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I wanted to have you talk to us about your recent participation in the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association Marketplace. I think that was last week in Barbados. Can you give us an overview of what happened there and how Dominica's tourism sector would have benefited from this activity?
CHTA Marketplace is gives us a great opportunity to meet with travel professionals. So what you really do, the team interacts with with travel agents and tour operators to sell the destination, encourage them to add our properties when they're promoting, and see how they can make packages with airlines and package Dominica and promote the destination. So you meet Apple Leisure and many different pleasure. I think there's a pleasure group. There are many different agents that you meet and interact with, but it also gives you an opportunity to update the media across the world on what's happening in Dominica. And I must say to you that they said Dominica had the best update at that forum, because our story is fantastic, and it just blew their mind how a destination which was destroyed 5 years by Hurricane Maria can have such an incredible story of recovery. Number one, our investment in geothermal energy, that we're trying to become a green energy. Once that plant is completed, we'll be the first island which will not be using fossil fuel generated electricity. That was a major story. The cable car project, having the longest cable car in the world, people were just wowed by that project, and they can't wait for it to be completed. And also hearing about the whales and our plans to protect them, that species, that our sperm whales. And so we had a lot to share at Marketplace, and the one media person met me at an event in the evening, and she put me on the side, she said, Dominica is becoming quickly one of the most fascinating destinations in the Caribbean. I love Bahamas, but I'm fascinated by Dominica, and I can't wait to visit. And she said to me on the bus coming to the event, only destination that was being talked about was Dominica. And I was like, wow, because I always say I want Dominica to be the most talked about destination in the world. But we have made a lot of investments as a government. We have to really be proud of the leadership of Roosevelt Skerrit and the Dominica Labour Party administration. Those investments are bearing fruit, and they are all part of the Dominica story that is selling the destination and promoting it as the best place to be.
All right. You opened the door, and you mentioned the cable car project. So I wonder if at this point you could provide us with an update on the development of that particular project.
Well, as you know, every project has stages.
Mm-hmm.
The first stage is always the acquisition of lands, negotiating with landowners. That took some time. We have very good partners in ABL, and they have hired outdoor engineers who are well known for building cable car projects. And so right now we just finalized some negotiations with Digicel. So that was the only piece missing in the acquisitions of land, and so we're getting ready to build the base stations. So I'm hoping soon that aspect will be started, and then we can have people come and visit the project. But it's an exciting project for the Roseau Valley. It will create a lot of jobs in the interim, and even post-construction, a lot of permanent jobs, and even for tour operators, because the goal is that every cable car will have a tour operator giving a story as you go along the line, and you see Trafalgar Falls and the great views in Roseau Valley.
Honorable Charles, we have a caller on the line for you. And caller, good evening and welcome to the program.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
You hear me quite clearly?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, wonderful. Question to the Minister in relation to the airport and its enhancement project. What are the plans in relation to the visitor arrivals as to the cuisine and what they could get to eat? I know traveling through airports around the world, there's a variety of cuisine choices that people choose from when they're traveling. What are we doing in relation to our arrivals and departures when they want something to eat other than just orchards?
Orchards has been providing fantastic service. I heard the food is great. I will say that in the interim, I have discussed with Dasper in the parking lot area. We could develop it to put a bit more vendor stalls, so we can offer a variety of cuisines, and maybe a cafe and other things we can do in the interim. But I think this is an excellent opportunity for the people of Marigot. I mean, 2 minutes and you're in Marigot. It's an opportunity for them to invest and offer more food offerings to people. So under community tourism, I would encourage the people of Marigot to invest in it. I mean, one of the things I have told the padre of Marigot is that I remember as a child going to Douglas Charles Airport, Melville Airport at the time, and it needs a facelift. And there's much the community of Marigot can do to beautify the environment and to make investments so visitors passing through Marigot can stop by and have a bite. And if at the airport and there's a delay or overlay, they can simply drive into Marigot and support the cuisines there and small business owners there. So I don't think, because we are building an international airport, I would not recommend making a major investment in more in expanding restaurant service in terms of a building. Mm-hmm. But we can do vendor stalls in the parking lot to increase what we offer so people can have a different taste. But I think this is an excellent opportunity for the people of Marigot.
Caller, good evening and welcome to the program.
Yes, good evening, Madam Minister. I want to just commend you highly for the tremendous work you've been doing for tourism in Dominica. I have worked with various tourism ministers, but I think you're very enthusiastic and positive towards the development of Dominica. I have one or two questions. First of all, I want to know at the new international airport, whether we're going to have a hotel close by. We're in close proximity, because sometimes you might have to overnight, or you might have situation where people have to overnight rather than getting back into the city. And the other thing is, you mentioned about the cable cart, which I think is a very wonderful project. And then you set up some connection with Digicel. Can you expound on that a little bit and give us the Digicel part of it in terms of the collaboration and what is expected in that regard? And I want to commend you highly. And of course, your Ms. Duran have been doing a tremendous job over the last couple of weeks. And certainly, I think Dominica is on the way forward in terms of taking its full share of the international circuit. Thank you very much. I'm listening.
Thank you so much.
Dion, what was the first question?
Oh my.
I think he said, I will respond on the third one.
And then
the cable
we'll
car.
work our way back.
On Digicel, what I was saying that Digicel had a tower in the vicinity of where we want to build the base stations. So we had to finalize that arrangement because they would have to relocate those towers. And those negotiations were a little bit delayed, but we finally have closed them. And so we're ready to move to focus on constructing the base stations. And that's what I mentioned on the cable car.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll get to his other question about the hotel, whether there was.
Yes. I already even started to speak of Intercontinental to tell them about expanding in Dominica. You know that Intercontinental, which is part of IHG, which is $1 billion company, which is well known in the U.S. and across the world, recently rebranded Cabaret Spa and Resort. And I have told them that they should look at establishing or building a resort near the airport. But it's also an opportunity, again, for Dominicans to invest. Recently, I met with a group of Dominican nationals abroad who are interested in the Moroccan hotel. And we're having advanced discussions with them. I'm actually awaiting their proposal to see how they can rebrand that hotel and we can finally have it opened. That will be great for the people of Portsmouth, who are also excited about their marina, which is on the cards. I'm so really thrilled about that project. But this is another opportunity for our people. We have many Dominicans abroad who have been asking for opportunities to invest in the country. We are doing great in tourism. This is the time. This is the season to invest in tourism. So here goes another opportunity, as the caller indicated, that we'll need hotels around the new international airport. So check the Ministry of Lands. The minister, they will be happy to assist Dominicans to buying or purchasing a piece of land to invest. So let's do it.
Caller, you're on to Focus on Government and Development. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. This is the man they call the real fireman. Good evening to the Honorable Minister, great minister. And good evening to the host herself, right? No, really and truly, the brother said, I love what he said and he's so great. But me, myself, my point to make now. You see the cable cut company, you said that one of the biggest product maybe in the world, right? So rich means really and truly, as I always say in my terms, now is our time to shine. And as the brother said, you're doing a great job. But the problem I have in Rivernica, as we say, and that's why I love the project. What we have to realize right now, we're in a new era. We have to change our focus, change our way of life, change our way we do things. Let's create more creative. Let's try to create our own creation. Because when tourists come to our islands, you don't want to come and see the same thing. They are custom. This is something new. You know what I'm saying? So the cable cut, I would love to start coming string. And trust me, sister, I'm Honorable Minister. You're doing a great job. Fireman love I live in your community, and I suspect I have to see you because when you be there in Port Michel, really and truly, a lot of things need to happen, really and truly. You know what I'm saying? But you cannot do it by yourself, as I always say. And before I was, as I always say, the government cannot build this country by itself. We cannot do it by ourselves. We need outside people to help us, like the Chinese. I love you, I honor all you, I respect all you. Continue helping our country, and no matter what people say about us, I will work with all you. And Rivernica people, all you can do it by yourself. We have to get together to work with all you to develop our country and our people. Continue doing what all you're doing. World boss, I hope you safe and sound, up and running again. Fireman running, bless what I'm listening, give thanks for life.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
With the cable car project, with a project of that nature, of that magnitude, you would expect questions, queries, and concerns. And there have been some concerns about the scope of the project and whether it is a necessary project for Dominica, whether it takes away from the authenticity of the Boiling Lake experience, for example. How do you respond to these kinds of concerns coming to the fore?
Dominica has the second largest boiling lake in the world. That is a great resource to have to be able to share with many more visitors. Currently, only if you can hike, you're a avid hiker. It's a 6-hour hike. So even passengers who come for cruise passengers cannot take advantage of it. This is going to transform into a 20-minute ride on a cable car. So many, many more people can access it. You can access it if your children, families can go to it. Even my mother, who is 68, will be able to go. She has bad knees, so she would not be able to hike to go to the Boiling Lake, but she can definitely catch a ride on the cable car and get to the Boiling Lake. And that is what we have to think about, making the product accessible. And as I said, this made waves when I mentioned it at the media launch, and I showed a video, a short clip about the project. People were so excited. And that is what it is. Sharing that unique resource with that unique attraction with many, many more visitors. And that will bring more revenue to the country because many more people can access it daily. And so you can see how we are building our revenue base and increasing tourism contribution to GDP.
All right, we're going to take one more call before we move the discussion along. Caller, good evening. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Honorable Denise Charles.
Good evening, love.
Hi, love. I'm listening to you. Good program. I'm just listening. Okay? And I just called to say, hello, I'm listening. Okay, Michelle?
Yes, thank you, darling.
You know who's speaking?
Yes, the Queen of Labor in Rosa Central.
Okay, good night. I'm listening, darling.
Yes.
Okay, good night.
Earlier on, Minister, you alluded to the Marina project for Portsmouth. Is that something you can provide an update on? Where are we with this initiative?
I wish I could. I recently saw a video of the designs, so I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to share it. It is just beautiful.
But it is something that the government is continuing to pursue.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
All right. And, you know, one of the things we've spoken about and you've spoken about recently is there are plans in place for a cruise village. Any updates on that particular project?
As I mentioned, access is a critical area that we're working on to ensure that many more people can come to the destination. And under that is the development of a cruise village. This is a project that we're finalizing the designs and funding for, and once that is done, I will be in a position to share more with the public on that.
So definitely there's a lot of work going on developing behind the scenes major infrastructural project to push the tourism sector along.
Definitely. As I said, our vision is to increase visitor arrivals by 130% in the first instance. But once we make those critical infrastructure investments, we will be able, for example, once we have a cruise village, or we probably expand the pier on the bayfront, we will be able to receive the Oasis type vessel, which will bring in much more passengers to the island. So those investments are critical for the country.
As we speak about a cruise village, we have seen a full return to cruise tourism since the devastating impact of COVID-19 on the industry. Are we back or close to pre-pandemic levels? But more importantly, how would you assess the success of the current cruise season?
We have definitely surpassed pre-COVID levels. And that is, I will say this word 3 times: relationship, relationship, relationship. Our Prime Minister has developed outstanding relationship with our cruise partners over the years. In fact, I was speaking to one of them and they said, well, if you need anything, just ask your Prime Minister to call Mickey at Carnival. But importantly, during the COVID period, we were one of the countries that worked very closely with our cruise partners, and we were planning to have an early restart. And we were actually one of the destinations that opened our ports earlier and allowed a restart of cruise tourism. So because of that relationship, we strengthened during the COVID period. I will backtrack and also tell you that we supported some of our cruise partners by providing vaccines. They were short on vaccines for their crew, and they reached out to us and we supplied them with vaccines. So whilst people in Dominica were hesitant to take vaccines and we had a lot in supply, we supported them. And that made a remarkable difference because you are recognizing in the time of need and your partner is going for a challenge, you are there to support them. So that echoed throughout the industry, that they made sure everybody knew how well Dominica had worked with them during the pandemic period. And we saw that in the 2020, 2021, 2022, we had 206 calls, which was much higher than the 143 we received in 2019. And the season closed with 190 calls, which translates to over 189,000 people who experienced Dominica from a cruise perspective. So the projection for 2023, let me clarify that the projections for 2023 will have 190.
Okay.
Last season we saw 206.
Okay.
Now that is a flexible thing. Today you have itinerary because the last one was 224 calls. This one went to 190, but it might go back up to 224. But we're expecting about 246 cruise passengers for the upcoming season.
246
Cruise passengers
Okay.
for the upcoming season. Yes.
246?
246,000,
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
246,000.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying that we've had a very solid cruise season.
Yes.
And the projections are this is only expected to get more positive for Dominica.
Definitely. I went to Sea Trade and we had positive discussions with many of our partners. And one of the areas we are trying to see if we can get more calls is during the summer period.
Okay.
You know, that has been a down period for us, and you hear people saying that why Dominica can't get cruise calls. But this is not about Dominica. This is about the southern region. So I even had discussions with the Minister of Tourism in Barbados, because Barbados is a home port for some of the cruise lines. Unfortunately, they recently lost Royal Caribbean, who was home port in there, but has moved their port services back to San Juan. But we want to strategize to see how we can collaborate and present the southern region, because the southern region, based on statistics, is the region that has seen the slowest recovery in cruise. Even if Dominica is doing very well compared to pre-pandemic levels, we can still do a lot more better. And so we are planning to strategize and jointly have meetings with cruise partners so we can promote the southern region and strengthen those relationships so we can see a viable summer season for cruise as well.
All right. Recently, Minister, you spoke about the need for a vendor's arcade in the Roseau area, and this has become a sore point for many of our citizens who feel that the vendors should be redirected from the Roseau Bayfront. I know it's something that you're thinking about very actively. Is there any plan in place to address this?
I want to say hats off to our vendors. They're very hardworking. They get up very early. They're critical stakeholders in the tourism industry. And I want to ensure they have the best opportunity to sell their products. And that is what I want them to focus on. Anything we recommend is for their well-being, is to improve the services that we offer and to improve the customer experience, because that is what is making a difference, where if people decide to stop and shop, is the whole experience. And we feel that the Bayfront is not a permanent home. And I understand them that off cruise season that people come by ferry, say over visitors come and want to buy gifts, and they feel they have an opportunity to sell their goods. So I understand the concern, and that is why we are focused on building this vendors arcade, which will be a permanent dwelling place for our vendors. And then we'll have restaurants there, we will have a platform for music, live music, entertainment. And so I think that is the best solution for our current situation right now, to have this permanent structure that can house all our vendors. So all visitors to Dominica, whether you come by cruise, whether you come by air, whether you come by ferry, that you go to these vendors arcade and you can shop Dominican products. And one of the key things I want to encourage Dominicans is to support our local manufacturers of goods. We have some beautiful crafts, some beautiful products, and I think we need to showcase it more. And I really want to encourage the vendors. That is one of the reasons we had the B2B forum, so vendors could meet and collaborate, because Dominica has, some of the best products I've seen, and we need to support each other so the money can circulate in Dominica. So the government is focused on building this arcade, which I think will solve some of the current challenges we're having. I know many people like you, Dion, you want to enjoy the Bayfront. And so you'll be able to enjoy the Bayfront, while the vendors will have a permanent place. So we won't have a seasonal place. It'll be a permanent structure. So throughout the year, they can sell their products.
Is this something you plan to tackle soon?
Actually, we have a design for it. We are reviewing the design, and the plan is to have a consultation with the vendors because we need their input. We need to know their vision, how they see, if they like this, if they don't like that. And so they will have an opportunity to give their input into the design. So we started some consultation with them, and so we'll continue those consultations. Once we have finalized the draft designs, it will be presented to them. Once they've given their input, then we will have the final designs, and then we want to go to construction very quickly.
Can I ask already what kind of feedback you're getting from the vendors? Because you've spoken about this before in the public space. Are you already getting responses from them about how they feel about the idea?
They love the idea. The only thing is something that we have mentioned for a while, but we have had our challenges with our disasters we've had over the years. So that project was pushed on the side, but we are bringing it at the forefront again, and the Prime Minister is very focused on delivering on that vendors arcade, and so discussions have resumed.
Okay, so we look forward to that. Earlier on, you mentioned the kalinago pillar of the tourism ministry, and now you also spoke about the need to promote more of our indigenous art craft. I just wonder, based on those two mentions, how your ministry and the Discover Dominica Authority, your promotional arm, is doing more to incorporate the indigenous aspects of our culture into the overall tourism product.
Oh, we're working very closely with them. We have a whole team that we established with Mrs. Frederick and the Kalinago people, the council. We have a whole group. A few months ago, we had a tour of the Kalinago territory. We looked at all the products they had, all the attraction sites, how we can improve them, how we can improve access to them, and the products that they offer, how they can improve their standards, the vendor stall. So it's a whole package review of the Kalinago territory and how we can improve the Kalinago village, the KBA village, Kalinago Baruta Ote village. I'm trying to pronounce it.
Barana Ote, yes.
Ote
yeah.
Village. And we have some work to do there, some upgrades to do to some of the structures. And the whole thinking is that when you come to the Kalinago territory, you'll be able to experience the whole way of life of the people. You'll hear about the stories. Whilst I was there, I had so many stories about the dragon and all the creative things over the years. And I think it's going to be a critical pillar for us because many people are into culture and heritage tourism. People are fascinated by cultures and learning about different communities and their way of life. And that is one of the fastest growing trends in tourism. And so if we can help the Kalinago people package what they have to offer better, and more of the people can share in that, as I said, because many people can make money in tourism. There are many small tourism enterprises in the Kalinago territory that have great products. We just have to help them enhance it. And they have about 8 attraction sites. So once we work with them and we make that investment, I think it will become a very strong tourism product. It's strong already,
yeah, it is.
But a stronger tourism product.
All right. As we wind down, it's already 10 minutes before the hour of 9 o'clock. And just to remind our listeners, if you are interested in speaking directly with the Honorable Minister, you can call 1-800-327 305 432-9744, 448-3281, or 448-3279. I was saying, Honorable Minister, as we wind down, there are just some things I want to knock off because I want you to comment on certain things. For example, we recently saw a change of ownership at the Cabritz Resort and Spa to Intercontinental Resorts. As Minister, I'm sure you were directly, you had some direct involvement with that move. How enthused are you about the prospects for the hotel's progress with these changes, or with this change?
I'm totally excited, Dion. Intercontinental is a brand that is well known, as I mentioned earlier, in the U.S. market, in Canada, and across the world. And they bring a wealth of experience, and their vision and the type of product they offer is different. They're not just selling a room, they're selling an experience. And so they have sent their team of people to explore Dominica, because one of the key things for them is knowing what they are selling. So they came to experience the nature island themselves. And they spend time going around the island and experiencing our natural attraction sites, going to Emerald Pool, the Cabrits, T2 Gorge, and they had a fantastic time. So now that they experience the island, what they do is package it and sell it and do niche marketing and know who to target, who will like what. And they're very, very open to partnership with the ministry. So we are discussing potential shows, like we had Sports Illustrated here, doing the swimsuit issue. We are also looking at the bachelors. We're having discussions. I cannot say
You can say too
much because these things are not finalized.
But these are the kinds of things you're looking at.
Opportunities to expose the island more so people can become more aware of Dominica. At the same time, they will have more people at the resort. You know, we are having cricket in July. I hope everybody's booking their tickets. All Dominican nationals abroad, I want to invite you to book your ticket early and come down to see West Indies versus India. You don't want to miss that test match. And they're very open to those things. So because of the way they think and their different marketing strategies, I think it's going to be a great brand for Dominica.
And we do have other brands on the horizon. You know, developing hotel development has been something that this government has placed a lot of focus on.
Brilliantly done. As I said, by re-engineering this Citizen by Investment program. We have Hilton Tranquility Beach on the horizon, which I hope will open next year. I hope Ian is listening. We have Marriott, and we have Sanctuary Eco Resort in the Roseau Valley. All great properties, which I know will do very well once they're open.
You know, I cannot not ask. It's just my instinct to ask. When we talk about all these hotels, you know, people have said, can we support all these new hotels? Is that something you think of? And are your strategies designed to work in tandem with the development of these facilities?
We do not have sufficient hotel rooms in Dominica. We have under 1,000 hotel rooms, okay? St. Lucia next door has 5,000 hotel rooms. Jamaica has 100,000, and they're talking about expansion. So we are nowhere near to our target for to our targets in the accommodation sector. So as I said, there lies a great opportunity in the Kalinago territory. We're looking at it. They do not have a major hotel there or even villas to offer visitors coming along. So I have spoken to Invest Dominica. I want to encourage Dominica National Abroad and any investor listening to me. Dominica has a lot of land. We're the third largest English-speaking island. So you can visit Dominica and visit Invest Dominica, I mean, and inquire about what the lands that are available to build more resorts. We definitely need more rooms on island.
That's brilliant, and that's good context, you know, that we really are operating below what the other islands offer in terms of our capacity.
Definitely.
Yeah. In all of this, Honorable Minister, as the tourism minister, and you mentioned that very early on, your excitement about the construction of the international airport, I wanted to get your take on what the international airport means for the tourism sector and, of course, for economic fortunes in general as a country.
As I said, the international airport will allow us greater access to many more source markets. I know many people are excited about the flight from Miami, but that is just one city. We can get direct flights from New York. If we get direct flights from London, from Canada, we have to understand that travelers don't like the hassle of transitioning to other airports. So yes, it's great we have hubs like Antigua and Barbados that people can transition to and move to go on a smaller aircraft and come to Dominica. But many people don't like that. You know, they book a flight, they just want to come straight to the destination and enjoy it. So they prefer that option. And once we build the international airport, many more people have access to Dominica, and we can get many more airline partners to come to the destination from those various source markets I've listed. And it's also opportunity for trade.
Yeah,
we can export things. You know, there are some goods you can't export by sea. and having a major aircraft come to Dominica, they'll be able to transport those goods to Miami. Flowers, fruits, vegetables, and that opens up a window of new opportunities for Dominicans, for farmers, and in the accommodation sector, as I mentioned. So I think we should all be focused and focus on the International Airport project. That is a project that every Dominican should support. There is no reason a Dominican should speak negatively about the International Airport project.
It disappoints you when you hear that kind of negative talk?
Very much so, because I think that sometimes we can be the enemies of our own progress. Yeah, it is, we always talk about other islands, but they have an international airport, and statistics has shown that they have been able to grow their destination because of the international airport, because of direct access. And here it is in Dominica, people are saying we do not need an international airport. Douglas Charles is great. We're doing our best with it, but it has its technical challenges. We need a massive airport to receive many more flights daily. Having 2-4 planes landing a day is nothing. When you get to the international airport standard, you get 10-15 flights a day. That's when you're talking business. And if we are going to build a dynamic economy for many more people to be prosperous, that is how we have to do it. We have to allow people to come to the destination, not just to visit, but to invest. Because once you have an international airport, more hotel brands are normally interested in a destination that has greater access. So I may be able to get sandals to start looking at Dominica.
Yeah. I like that you're thinking big. I mean, that's how the tourism minister is supposed to feel. I also like that you seem to have a very clear bird's eye view of the entire tourism sector. I think from the interview, I'm getting that you really have examined the sector in great detail, and you've tried to see where you can improve and be creative, and I think that's really coming through tonight. But I wanted to end on a softer note. FET. One of your pillars is festival tourism. Why has the government of Dominica decided that festival tourism is a viable aspect of the tourism product that we should enhance?
The festival tourism does two things for us. One, it increases the number of visitors coming to Dominica from the region and internationally, and the domino effect when you have festivals. You see what happened in World Choral Music Festival. Many places ran out of food. So the accommodation sector benefits, the small business sector, you have makeup artists, hairdressers, the restaurant owners, beverage companies, supermarkets, even the utility companies benefit because people use more electricity during that time. So the domino effect of having festivals is huge. And even for our community, when we have festivals there, the economic activity there, everybody makes $1. So that is one strategy we're using because, as I said, the trend shows that many more people are interested in traveling to have a cultural experience. And we have the most unique festivals. Our World Choral Music Festival I think it's been rated as number 3.
It's a phenomenal
It's
festival.
phenomenal, and it's the one of a kind in the Caribbean. Our carnival is very unique, and one of the areas we are focusing on is how can we improve that product. Yes, I know everybody gets excited about carnival because they want to go to jump up and wear their costumes, but how do we use that festival to attract more visitors to the destination? And that is how we have to start thinking. Yes, we'll enjoy it, but it's a tool we can use to bring more people, like Trinidad has done. That when it's Trinidad Carnival, hotels are booked 6 months in advance. That is the same thing I want for Carnival in Dominica. It happens for World Choral Music Festival. Down to La Plaine, people were booked. The accommodations there were booked. But it's not happening for Carnival yet. So the goal is, and you are part of a task force which I established. So I'm waiting to hear your recommendations on how we're going to enhance our carnival and other festivals we're doing to attract more visitors. The seafood line we're trying to do in the north, for example, and the partnership we had with the yachties and Pays down in Portsmouth was to bring people from the region and more yachts from Martinique and Guadeloupe to Dominica to have an experience. And they enjoyed that yachting festival, and they shared and post pictures, and they already said next year they're in. But guess what? They'll bring 10 more people with them.
Yeah.
So let us not underestimate the value that festivals is having on respective communities and on the island on a whole. That is one way we can increase the contribution. Another way we increase the contribution of tourism, but ensure a lot more money is circulating in the economy.
The next big festival on the calendar is World Creole Music Festival in October, part of our independence celebrations. Can we have a look ahead?
Oh, it's going to be epic. It's going to be fabulous. It's our 45th anniversary. And so we're not going to spend a lot like we did last year. Last year we made a huge investment as a government because we had a 2 years break because of COVID, and so we decided we wanted to come up with a bang, and people demanded Burna Boy, so we brought Burna Boy. The lineup is going to be pretty exciting this year, I must say. We'll have less acts.
Less costly.
Yes, less acts, but it's going to be a fabulous festival. You do not want to miss it. I'm hoping that we can launch a festival earlier, so the goal is to launch it in June.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You've been tuned in to Focus on Government and Development. It's 4 minutes past 9 o'clock. If you're with us for the whole hour, thank you so much for sticking around. I think the Honorable Minister touched on quite a few areas of development within the tourism sector. And certainly we have a lot to look forward to in terms of infrastructural development, major tourism projects about to get on stream in Dominica. She talked about the cable car project. We got a hint about the marina in Portsmouth. The cruise village is on the way. A vendor's arcade for Roseau. So we're going places in tourism with the Honorable Denise Charles at the helm, part of a working Dominica Labour Party government. Tourism Minister, I want to thank you so much for joining us and give you this final opportunity for closing remarks, if any.
Well, I must say, though, Dion, that I am only able to be great because of the great team that I have and the collaboration with the respective ministries. And we are doing our best. So I want to commend the Discover Dominica Authority team, the Dominica Festivals Commission team, DASPA. We work very closely, even the CEO of the International Airport Development Company, to do a lot of these things I've mentioned here this evening. I want to tell Dominicans, we have a beautiful country. We have the most beautiful country in the Caribbean, and everywhere where I go, when I meet people, that's what I'm told. And so all the investments the government has made over the last 20 years, it's paying off. So we need to stay focused. The international airport project is the most important project for our future growth and prosperity. And so I want Dominicans to understand that we have to stick together on this one. This one is going to open a gateway, many more gateways for us, and many more opportunities for many Dominicans. We are an island of 70,000 people. So in order to expand our revenue base, we need more people to come. And what better way by ensuring that we have an international airport that ensure more visitors can land and experience and enjoy our beautiful country. There are other things I need us to focus on in terms of standards, which I mentioned. And lastly, small thing that everybody can do is keep our environment clean. Keep Dominica looking clean and green. Practice proper disposal of your garbage and practice recycling. We are out there promoting the nature island of the Caribbean. When people come here, they have to experience it. They have to see in our practices that we are protecting the environment. So I want us to be more conscious when we're disposing of garbage, what we can recycle, what we can, so let us focus on those things. And I believe that if we all share the great experiences we have when we go out, when we have festivals, when we do a hike, when we go scuba diving, when we are doing yoga, when we are in the hot springs, we post, share, and like on Facebook, we all together can ensure that Dominica becomes the most talked about destination in the world. We can do it, but together.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We thank you for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon, and we certainly wish you the best of luck, and you and your team at the Ministry of Tourism. Thank you.
Great.
You're invited to tune in next week, Thursday, for another area of focus on this program, where we talk government, where we talk development matters, engage you, and keep you informed about the work of the government of Dominica. My name is Dion Dura Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Do have a good evening.